I welcome you to the third video in my series, From Shadows to Shakti, the truth of Tantra Yoga. In this video, we will be discussing the Svadisthana, the energy center at the sacrum. Refer back to my previous videos on the Muladhara, which is our root chakra. If you have not watched that, you'll probably want to go back and watch that first. And then the Mula Bandha, the root lock, and how you can control the root lock in order to retain your energy so that we can send energy up the spine. Those are integral to understanding the entire chakra system. And we are starting at the base of the spine and working our way up. Well, the Muladhara is our root chakra and gives us a sense of being rooted down, of home, of stability. As we move up the spine to the Svadisthana, reproduction leads to gestation. And gestation will eventually lead to birth. So now we are at the sacral energy, or the Svadisthana, the seat of reproduction and creation of new life. When the seed is planted from the male into the female and his sperm fertilizes an egg, it has a protective sac around it and fills with more and more waters, amniotic fluids, and cradles new life. This sacral area, being the place of waters, being the place of movement, and also the seat of emotions, it's going to be absolutely integral to healthy gestation of another human life if a woman is in the best possible mental and emotional health. Now, that doesn't discount the importance of male or masculine energy. The masculine energy would be providing a sense of security, safety, love, honor, loyalty. What do you say?
I love you.
You do. I can tell because you make it very evident that you love me.
I do.
Thank you for treating me like a queen.
You are. I have to treat you that way. This is what you are.
Thank you. You're my king.
I'm just showing.
I'm your queen to, you're my king to my...
To your queen?
To my queen. You're the king to my queen. For a woman, if she is in a state of health, living without stress or insecurity, if she's living with love and nurturance from her partner, she has someone that is by her side through the entire process and that is going to love and nurture the child just as much as she does after the birth. Someone that connects with the baby even though it is behind the flesh of her belly. The baby that can hear both the mother and father or masculine and feminine energies that are going to bring it into this world. That their needs will be met, that they are coming into loving arms, into a place of acceptance, a place of being wanted, a place of nourishment and nurturance by both masculine and feminine energies. Create balance in this gestation period. That fetus is very susceptible to hormones that the mother is producing. Serotonin and oxytocin are integral to a sense of connection, deep connection and love. If she's living with love and nurturance from her partner, she will produce the necessary hormones to make that baby feel loved and secure. Now, when women don't have that sense of security and they are producing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, we want to consider the implications of stress being very detrimental to pregnancy. Having pelvic floor strength will ensure that a woman is able to deliver a child in a healthier and safer way. As a woman ages, having strength and integrity of the Mula Bandha will ensure that she's able to retain the organs that lie within the pelvis. It is very detrimental for a woman to have a weak pelvic floor and possibly lose her bladder as it prolapses out the vagina. In addition, she can lose her uterus out the vagina as well. It's unfortunate these days that humans are not taught about the anatomical structure of their bodies. If they were taught from a young age to work the pelvic floor, women would never have to have bladder replacements or uterus taken out because of prolapses. Western developed countries are seeing astronomical rates of infertility in both men and women. And so we need to take a hard look at this, and whether you agree with modern medicine or not, the fact is if humans have an inability to reproduce, which is becoming quite common now, then it throws the balance of the entire human race off. You have the seed, the idea that has been planted. And as any gardener or farmer knows, that when a seed is planted, it seems as if it's dormant. But if we want that seed to sprout into new life and to grow, we must water it before we can even see any action happening. So it lies beneath the soil. And we just have to have faith that if we continue to nourish that seed, it will pop up, it will grow. And the more nourishment we give it and nurturance, and we keep it balanced, it can grow into a robust new creation. That is the importance of balance in this sacral chakra. If you don't have balance here, then you may feel a lack of creativity. If you have too little, unambitious, a lack of desire to create anything new. If you have too much, if it's overflowing, maybe you start projects all the time and never finish them. The need for continuous movement or exercise, attention deficit disorder. Depletion of this sacral energy may result in a sedentary lifestyle, a strong propensity for overeating, for addiction. If you are imbalanced here, you'll either have a lack of interest in sex and perhaps a lack of interest in reproduction, excessive interest in sex. A woman would want to have a lot of babies in order to make up for some emotional void. It's very important that we also identify that sometimes emotional imbalance can happen while we were being gestated. If there was trauma during our gestation, that can certainly lead to emotional imbalance that affects us throughout our life. The first step in balancing energetic emotional centers is to identify where we may be in lack or in excess of that energy. I spoke of my own emotional imbalance as a child, not being rooted down or feeling secure in my first video on the Muladhara. I created balance here in the sacral chakra by giving birth to my own babies and connecting with them on such a deep level, very much a way for me to balance out my emotional state. This life that we incarnated into is meant to be lived with joy. We all go through our struggles and hardship. We go through our traumas. There is no human that gets away with not having some trauma in their life. However, we must maintain equilibrium between trauma and joy. And once you're on the other side of the difficulty, if you are self-reflective, there's usually some lesson you can learn through that experience. And then when you learn that lesson and you deeply integrate it into your behaviors, then it changes the future outcomes. So you can essentially learn from your own difficulties in order to progress further in life. Some would call that karma. And sometimes it may seem as if We are born into this life and we have some karmic lesson that we are supposed to be learning, some trials and tribulations that for some reason we have been gifted with. That we are all an integral part of this universe and we all have these hardships. We are meant to learn from them and we are meant to keep our attitude and our thoughts positive so that we can begin to generate the most positive outcomes in the future. Living in the present moment and experiencing the gratitude for just being alive, just being able to live in this vessel, which we call a human body, and to experience all of the human emotions, whether it's love, whether it's tragedy and grief. We are all meant to experience those. We're meant to live as non-dualistic human beings. We are meant to see that without joy, we cannot experience grief. And without grief, we cannot experience joy. So they are two sides to the same coin and they are integral to each other. But we can choose to maintain a level of joy just by being present with ourselves at this moment, by connecting with people in love and kindness, by communicating effectively and respectfully, and then by reflecting on how our lives have presented us with a series of lessons meant to be learned and meant to be overcome. And we can do this through yogic exercises in asanas, our physical postures. Many of the seated postures will be helping to balance out the root and the sacral chakras. The forward folds, Paschimottanasana, our seated forward fold, sitting in meditation, in lotus position, or in half lotus or easy seat, depending on your mobility. If you have not seen my video on pranayama and Kapalabhati, you'll want to go and review that because we create a deep contraction of the abdominal muscles, which greatly affects and balances out our sacral chakra. My intention here is to open up the understanding in the Western world of Tantra because it has been exploited for the magic behind the understanding of sexuality and the nature of humans as sexual creatures, and the root of yoga and Tantrism and Buddhism. All of this wisdom, which tells us how we can live our human incarnation to the best of our abilities without carrying the heavy burden of suffering. Through that understanding of these techniques and how we can master the mind. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It is very helpful to me. And if you felt that this video had some value for you, you can give it a thumbs up.